The affirmation you speak right before you fall asleep tonight will either keep you trapped in the same financial struggle you have been living for years, or it will unlock a flow of money so powerful that your bank account will look completely different 30 days from now, and I am about to reveal exactly which words create wealth and which words repel it forever. In the next few minutes, you are going to discover the scientifically proven affirmations that billionaires use every single day, but that they never talk about publicly. And you are going to learn why 97% of people who try affirmations fail miserably, while the other 3% manifest money so fast it seems almost magical. And if you stay until the very end, I will give you the exact affirmation sequence that has helped thousands of people attract their first $10,000 in under 60 days. Subscribe right now, because every week I share the real mental strategies and affirmation techniques that are transforming ordinary people into money magnets, and you do not want to miss a single video that could be the breakthrough you have been searching for. There is something that nobody tells you about money affirmations, and it is the reason why most people repeat positive statements for months or even years without seeing a single dollar more in their bank account. And that something is the hidden contradiction between what you are saying with your mouth and what you are believing in your subconscious mind, because your subconscious is 1,000,000 times more powerful than your conscious mind. And if there is a conflict between the two, the subconscious always wins. Imagine this scenario, and you are standing in front of your mirror every morning saying, "I am wealthy, I am abundant, money flows to me easily." But deep inside, there is a quiet voice that immediately responds with, "Yeah, right. You have bills you cannot pay. You are in debt. Nobody in your family has ever been rich. Why would you be any different?" And that quiet voice is not just doubt. That is your subconscious belief system that was programmed over decades of experience, observation, and repetition. And here is what happens when you speak an affirmation that contradicts your deep beliefs, and your nervous system recognizes the lie and creates what psychologists call cognitive dissonance, which is the uncomfortable tension between two conflicting beliefs. And your brain hates this tension so much that it will do everything possible to resolve it. And unfortunately, the way it resolves this tension is not by changing your old beliefs, but by rejecting your new affirmation as false. This is why people get frustrated with affirmations, because they repeat the words, but nothing changes, and they conclude that affirmations are nonsense when in reality they were just using them incorrectly. And the correct way to use affirmations is not to lie to yourself about your current reality, but to program your subconscious mind with a new reality that it can actually accept. So instead of saying, "I am a millionaire," when you have $50 in your account, which creates that cognitive dissonance, you say, "I am becoming wealthier every single day," or "money is flowing to me in increasing amounts," or "I am learning to receive abundance." And these affirmations are what I call bridge affirmations, because they bridge the gap between where you are now and where you want to be. Your subconscious mind can accept these bridge affirmations because they are not outright lies, and they acknowledge that you are in process, that you are moving towards something better. And once your subconscious accepts these bridge affirmations, it starts to look for evidence to support them. And whatever your mind looks for, it finds. This is not mystical thinking, but basic neuroscience. And it is called the reticular activating system. And this is the part of your brain that filters information and decides what to pay attention to and what to ignore. And right now, your reticular activating system is programmed to notice everything that confirms your current financial reality. And if you believe you are poor, it will show you evidence of poverty everywhere. But if you start affirming that money is flowing to you, your reticular activating system begins to notice opportunities, synchronicities, ideas, connections that were always there, but invisible to you before. Let me give you a real example that happened to someone I coached. And she had been struggling financially for years, and when I met her, she was repeating affirmations like, "I am rich, I am wealthy." But she told me she felt worse after saying them because they highlighted how not rich she actually was. And so we changed her affirmations to, "I am open to receiving money from expected and unexpected sources, and I notice opportunities for abundance all around me." And within 2 weeks, she told me something shifted. She was at a coffee shop and overheard 2 people talking about a project they needed help with, and normally she would have ignored the conversation and minded her own business. But because her reticular activating system was now programmed to notice opportunities, she politely introduced herself and mentioned that she had the exact skills they needed, and they hired her on the spot for a project that paid her $3,000, and that would never have happened if her mind was not tuned to the frequency of opportunity. And this is how affirmations actually work, when used correctly. And they do not magically make money appear out of thin air, but they reprogram your awareness, so you start seeing and seizing opportunities that you were blind to before. And they change your energy, so you show up differently in the world, and people respond to you differently. Now let me explain something crucial about the language of affirmations, because every single word matters, and certain words activate your subconscious in empowering ways, while other words actually sabotage your success. And one of the most damaging words you can use in an affirmation is the word need, because when you say, "I need money," you are affirming the state of need, which is a state of lack, and the universe does not respond to your words, but to the vibration behind your words. The vibration of need is desperate, clingy, repelling, and when you are vibrating at the frequency of desperation, you actually push money away, because desperation makes you make poor decisions, and it makes you accept bad deals, and it makes other people uncomfortable around you. And nobody wants to do business with someone who reeks of desperation. Instead of saying, "I need money," you say, "I desire money," or "I welcome money," or "money comes to me easily." And these phrases carry a completely different vibration, and they come from a place of openness and receptivity, rather than desperation and lack. Another word to eliminate from your affirmations is the word want, because when you say, "I want money," you are perpetually affirming the state of wanting, and wanting means you do not have. And the universe will keep you in that exact state of wanting but never having. And this is why people can want something for decades and never receive it, because they are energetically stuck in the wanting phase. The language that works is "I am receiving," or "I have," or "money is mine," or "I claim abundance." And these are statements of present reality or present process. And they tell your subconscious that the thing is happening now, not in some distant future. Let me share something that might sound controversial, but that is absolutely true. And your affirmations will not work if you do not believe you deserve money. And deep down, most people have worthiness issues around wealth that they are not even aware of. And these worthiness issues usually come from childhood programming, religious beliefs, cultural conditioning, or past experiences. Maybe you grew up hearing that money is the root of all evil, or that rich people are greedy, or that you have to work hard for every penny, or that it is noble to be poor. And all of these are subconscious programs that will sabotage every affirmation you speak, because you can say, "I am wealthy" 1,000 times. But if your subconscious believes that being wealthy makes you a bad person, then it will block money from coming to you in order to protect you from becoming what it perceives as bad. This is why inner work is essential, and before you can successfully use affirmations to attract money, you need to clean out the limiting beliefs that contradict those affirmations. And one powerful way to do this is through what I call belief interrogation, where you sit quietly and ask yourself, what do I really believe about money? And then you write down every thought that comes up without filtering or judging. You might be surprised at what emerges, and you might discover beliefs like money always runs out, or I am not smart enough to be rich, or people like me do not get wealthy, or making money requires suffering. And once you identify these subconscious beliefs, you can begin to dismantle them by questioning their validity. For example, if you believe making money requires suffering, you ask yourself, is that absolutely true? And can I find examples of people who make money joyfully? And when you start finding counterexamples, your rigid belief begins to soften. And once it softens, you can install a new empowering belief, like I can make money doing what I love, or money comes to me through joy, not suffering. And once you have cleared the old disempowering beliefs, your affirmations become exponentially more powerful, because now there is no inner contradiction, and your conscious and subconscious minds are finally aligned and working together toward the same goal. And this alignment is what creates the so-called miracles that people experience when they start manifesting money rapidly. Now let me talk about the optimal time to practice your money affirmations, because timing affects effectiveness dramatically. And the two most powerful times to reprogram your subconscious mind are right when you wake up and right before you fall asleep. And the reason these times are so potent is because your brain waves are in a different state. When you first wake up and right before sleep, your brain is in theta state, which is a slower brainwave frequency where your subconscious mind is more open and receptive and less defended by the critical conscious mind. And this is the same state you are in during deep meditation or hypnosis. And in this state, affirmations sink directly into your subconscious without the usual resistance. So the most effective practice is to have your affirmations ready the moment you open your eyes in the morning, before you check your phone, before you start thinking about your problems, before your conscious mind fully activates and you speak or think your affirmations while you are still in that dreamy transitional state. And then you do the same thing at night as you are drifting off to sleep, and you make your affirmations the last thought in your mind before unconsciousness. And when you do this consistently for 30 days, you will be amazed at how much your relationship with money transforms, because you are literally reprogramming your operating system during the times when your mind is most programmable. Another critical element that most people miss is emotion and affirmations. Without emotion are just empty words, and your subconscious mind does not respond to words alone, but to the feelings associated with those words. And this is why you can say, I am wealthy, with a flat, monotone voice and dead energy and get zero results. You need to feel the affirmation as you speak it, and you need to generate the emotion of already having what you are affirming. And if you are affirming, money is flowing to me, you need to feel what it would feel like to see money actually flowing into your account, and you need to feel the relief, the excitement, the gratitude, the security, the freedom. And I know what you are thinking, and you are thinking, how can I feel excited about money I do not have yet? And isn't not that fake? And here is the truth that will change everything, and your brain cannot tell the difference between a vividly imagined experience and a real experience. And neuroscientists have proven this with brain scans. And when you vividly imagine something with strong emotion, your brain lights up in the same areas as if the experience was actually happening. So when you affirm, money is flowing to me, and you close your eyes and vividly imagine checking your bank account and seeing deposits, and you feel the rush of excitement, your brain is creating neural pathways as if that event already occurred. And the more you repeat this, the stronger those neural pathways become, until your brain starts to expect money to flow. And what your brain expects, it unconsciously moves toward. This is why athletes use visualization. and they mentally rehearse their performance over and over, with emotion, and their bodies respond as if they are physically practicing, and their performance improves. And you can do the exact same thing with money. And you mentally rehearse being wealthy, receiving money, spending money, investing money with full emotional engagement. And your reality begins to shift to match your mental rehearsal. Let me share a powerful affirmation technique that combines words, emotion, and physiology, because your body and mind are not separate, and they are one integrated system. And when you change your physiology, you change your psychology. And when you speak affirmations from a powerful physical state, they are far more effective than speaking them while slouched on your couch, feeling defeated. So here is what you do. And you stand up tall with your shoulders back, and your chest open, and your head high. And you take deep, powerful breaths. And you put a smile on your face, even if you have to force it at first. And then, from this empowered physical state, you speak your affirmations with conviction, with energy, with certainty. And notice how different it feels to say, "Money flows to me effortlessly," while standing tall and breathing deeply, versus saying the same words while sitting hunched over. And this is because your physiology sends signals to your brain about how you should feel. And when you adopt the physiology of a confident, successful person, your brain starts producing the neurochemistry of confidence and success. And when you combine the right words with the right emotion, with the right physiology, with the right timing, you create an unstoppable force that reprograms your entire being at every level. And this is when affirmations stop being wishful thinking and start being a genuine technology for transformation. Now I want to address something important, and that is the question of how long you need to practice affirmations before you see results. And the answer is that it depends on how deep your limiting beliefs are and how consistent you are with your practice. But generally speaking, you should start noticing shifts within the first week. And these shifts might be subtle at first, like feeling more optimistic, or noticing small opportunities, or having ideas you did not have before. And then, within 30 days of consistent daily practice, you should see tangible external results, like unexpected money showing up, or new income opportunities presenting themselves, or existing income streams increasing. And if you are not seeing any results after 30 days, then you need to examine whether you are doing the practice correctly or whether there are deeper blocks that need to be addressed. First, one common block is what I call the worthiness wound. And this is the deep subconscious belief that you do not deserve good things. And this wound often comes from childhood experiences where you felt rejected or criticized or not good enough. And if you have this wound, then no affirmation will work until you heal it, because you will unconsciously sabotage every good thing that tries to come into your life. Healing the worthiness wound requires compassion and forgiveness, and often it requires you to go back to those childhood memories and give your younger self the love and acceptance that you did not receive then. And this might sound therapeutic, and it is, but it is also absolutely necessary if you want to break through to the next level of abundance. Because here is what most people do not understand, and your external financial reality is always a perfect mirror of your internal sense of self-worth. And if you believe deep down that you are not valuable, then you will unconsciously create a life where you are not valued financially. And if you believe you are worthy of abundance, then abundance flows to you naturally, because there is no inner contradiction blocking it. So part of working with money affirmations is simultaneously working on your self-worth. And one powerful affirmation for this is, I am worthy of all the abundance the universe has to offer simply because I exist. And I do not have to earn my worthiness through suffering or struggle, and I am enough exactly as I am. And when you can truly feel that affirmation in your bones, when you can look in the mirror and genuinely believe that you are worthy, not because of what you do, but because of who you are, then everything changes and money starts flowing, because you are no longer blocking it with subconscious unworthiness. Let me tell you about the concept of affirmation. Specificity, because there is a balance between being specific and being open. And if you affirm something too specific, like I receive exactly $10,342 on March 15th, then you might block other forms of abundance that are trying to reach you. And you also might create attachment and resistance if that exact thing does not happen. On the other hand, if your affirmations are too vague, like I am abundant, then your subconscious does not have a clear target. And the sweet spot is what I call directed openness, where you are clear about what you want, but open about how it comes. And so, instead of saying, I make $10,000 this month from this specific source, you say, I easily receive $10,000 or more this month from expected and unexpected sources. This gives your subconscious a clear goal to work toward, but it also allows the universe to deliver in whatever way is most aligned and easiest. And often the money shows up in ways you never could have predicted, and if you were too attached to one specific path, you would have missed the opportunity. Another powerful element of effective affirmations is gratitude. And when you combine affirmation with gratitude, you create a magnetic force that accelerates manifestation. And so, instead of just saying money comes to me, you say, I am so grateful that money comes to me easily. And that feeling of gratitude is crucial because gratitude is the emotion of already having. When you feel grateful, you are signaling to your subconscious and to the universe that you already have what you desire, and what you appreciate appreciates. And when you appreciate money, even the small amounts you currently have, more money flows to you. And when you complain about not having enough, you create more of not having enough. So, a practice I recommend is every time you receive money, no matter how small, you pause and feel genuine gratitude. And if you find a penny on the street, you say thank you, and you feel grateful. And if someone pays you for your work, you say thank you, and you feel grateful. And if you receive a refund or a discount, you say thank you, and you feel grateful. And what this does is train your subconscious to associate money with positive feelings instead of stress and anxiety. And most people have trained themselves to feel stressed every time they think about money. And then they wonder why money does not flow easily to them. And you need to retrain your emotional response so that money becomes associated with joy and gratitude and ease. Now let me share something about the relationship between affirmations and action, because some people think that affirmations are a substitute for action, and they believe they can just sit on their couch repeating, I am rich, and money will magically appear. And that is not how it works. And affirmations are not magic spells. They are psychological tools that change your beliefs and perceptions and energy. And when your beliefs and perceptions and energy change, you naturally take different actions, and you notice different opportunities, and you make different decisions. And those actions, opportunities, and decisions create different results. And so affirmations work through you, not for you. The correct way to think about it is that affirmations prepare the soil, and action plants the seeds. And if you affirm abundance, but never take any action toward creating it, then nothing will grow. And if you take action without affirming abundance, then you are planting seeds in toxic soil, and they will struggle to grow. But when you combine empowering affirmations with inspired action, you create the optimal conditions for wealth to flourish. And inspired action is different from desperate action. And desperate action comes from fear and lack, and it feels forced and exhausting while inspired. Action comes from confidence and abundance, and it feels natural and energizing. And here is how you know if an action is inspired or desperate. And if you are taking the action because you are afraid of what will happen if you do not, then it is desperate. But if you are taking the action because you are excited about what will happen if you do, then it is inspired. And inspired action is always more effective because it carries a different vibration. So as you practice your affirmations, pay attention to the impulses and ideas that arise, and you might suddenly think of someone you should call, or a skill you should learn, or a project you should start. And these are not random thoughts, they are your subconscious mind responding to your new programming and showing you the path forward. And when you follow these inspired impulses, doors open and opportunities appear, and things fall into place in ways that feel almost miraculous. But they are not miracles. They are the natural result of aligning your inner world with your desired outer world. Let me talk now about dealing with setbacks, because even when you are doing everything right, you will still encounter challenges and obstacles and financial setbacks. And these moments are crucial because they test whether your new programming is solid or superficial. When something goes wrong financially, your automatic response might be to panic and think, see, affirmations do not work. Nothing ever works for me. I am cursed. And if you allow yourself to spiral into that old pattern, then you undo all the progress you made. And this is why consistency is so important. And you need to affirm abundance, especially when circumstances seem to contradict it. So when you face a financial setback, instead of panicking, you take a breath and you consciously choose your response and you say, this is temporary, and I trust that money is flowing to me. And this setback is redirecting me toward something better. And you refuse to give power to the negative circumstance by obsessing over it. And instead, you stay focused on your affirmations and your vision. And what happens is that your resilience grows, and your subconscious learns that you are serious about your new identity as someone who is abundant. And over time, the setbacks become less frequent and less severe because your overall trajectory is upward, even if there are temporary dips. This is also where the concept of affirmation maintenance comes in, because you do not just practice affirmations until you get the money you want, and then stop. And if you do that, you will likely fall back into old patterns and old results. And affirmations need to become a permanent practice, like brushing your teeth, because you are constantly being exposed to negative programming from media, from other people, from your own habitual thoughts. So successful people use affirmations not just to get to wealth, but to maintain wealth and to continue expanding wealth. And they understand that their mindset requires daily maintenance, and they protect their mental space fiercely. And they are selective about what they watch, what they read, who they spend time with, because they know that everything is programming. Another dimension of affirmations that people often overlook is the power of writing and speaking. Your affirmations is powerful, but writing them is even more powerful because the act of writing engages different parts of your brain and creates stronger neural pathways. And there is something about the physical act of putting pen to paper that makes the affirmation more real, more tangible. So, a practice I highly recommend is to write your top 5 money affirmations every single morning. And you do not type them, you handwrite them, and as you write each one, you say it out loud, and you feel the emotion behind it. And this combination of writing, speaking, and feeling creates a triple encoding in your nervous system. And you can also create what is called an affirmation journal, where you write your affirmations in present tense as if they have already happened. And you describe in detail what your abundant life looks like. And you write about how it feels to have financial freedom. And you write about what you are doing with your wealth And the more vivid and detailed you make this, the more real it becomes to your subconscious. Your subconscious mind thinks in images and feelings more than words. And so, when you paint a detailed picture with your writing, you are giving your subconscious a clear blueprint to work from, and it will begin to orchestrate circumstances, people, and events to match that blueprint. Now, I want to address a question I get asked frequently, and that is whether affirmations work for everyone, or whether some people are just not wired for this. And the truth is that affirmations work for everyone, because everyone has a subconscious mind, and everyone's subconscious responds to repetition and emotion. However, the speed and ease with which affirmations work varies from person to person, based on their starting point. And someone who grew up in a household where money was discussed positively and where abundance was normal will have an easier time with money affirmations than someone who grew up in poverty and scarcity. And that does not mean it won't work for the second person, it just means they might need to do more inner work first to clear the heavier programming. And this is why I always say that affirmations are not a one-size-fits-all tool, and you need to customize them to your specific blocks and beliefs and wounds. And what works for someone else might not resonate with you, and you need to experiment and find the affirmations that feel powerful and true for you. A good test is to say an affirmation and notice how your body responds, and if you feel expansion and lightness and excitement, then that affirmation is aligned for you. But if you feel contraction and heaviness and resistance, then that affirmation might be too big of a leap for your current belief system, and you need to find a bridge affirmation that feels more believable. And as you progress and as your beliefs expand, you can gradually make your affirmations bolder and bigger, and what once felt impossible to affirm will eventually feel natural. And this is the process of growth, and you are literally expanding your capacity to receive. Let me share something about the social aspect of affirmations, because the people around you have a huge impact on whether your affirmations work. And if you are surrounded by people who constantly complain about money, who believe in lack and limitation, who criticize anyone with wealth, then their energy will drag you down. No matter how diligently you practice your affirmations, energy is contagious, and you become like the 5 people you spend the most time with. And if those 5 people have a poverty mindset, you will unconsciously absorb that mindset, and it will sabotage your affirmations. And this is why it is essential to be very selective about who you allow into your inner circle. You need to surround yourself with people who believe in abundance, who celebrate your success, who support your growth, and who are also working on expanding their own prosperity consciousness. And when you are in that kind of environment, your affirmations are amplified because everyone's energy is aligned in the same direction. And if you do not currently have people like that in your life, then you need to seek them out. And this might mean joining online communities or attending events or investing in courses or masterminds where you can connect with like-minded people. And yes, you might need to create some distance from negative people, even if they are family or old friends. This can feel uncomfortable, but it is necessary because your financial future is too important to sacrifice for the sake of keeping everyone comfortable. And the people who truly love you will support your growth, even if they do not understand it. And the people who try to hold you back are showing you that they are more invested in keeping you small than seeing you thrive. Now let me talk about the concept of affirmation evolution, because your affirmations should not stay static forever. And as you grow and change, your affirmations need to grow and change with you. And what you needed to affirm 6 months ago might be totally different from what you need to affirm now. For example, when you are just starting out, you might need affirmations that address basic worthiness, like, I deserve to be paid well for my work, or it is safe for me to have money. But once those foundational beliefs are solid, you can move on to more expansive affirmations. Like I easily create multiple streams of income, or my wealth grows exponentially. And as you reach new levels of financial success, you need affirmations that support your new reality and help you expand even further. And you might start affirming things like, I manage my wealth wisely, and it multiplies, or I am a generous giver, and money always comes back to me, multiplied, or my legacy will impact generations. This evolution is natural and necessary. And if you keep affirming the same basic things, forever you will plateau because you are not challenging yourself to grow into a bigger vision, and your affirmations should always be pulling you forward into your next level. Another important practice is what I call evidence collection, where you actively look for proof that your affirmations are working. And your mind will find whatever you tell it to look for. And if you focus on lack, you will find evidence of lack. But if you focus on abundance, you will find evidence of abundance. So every day, you make a mental or written note of every way money showed up in your life. And this could be a refund you received, or a discount someone gave you, or a bill that was lower than expected, or a gift someone gave you, or an unexpected payment, or finding money, or earning money. And when you collect this evidence daily, you train your brain to see that money is actually flowing to you all the time in many forms. And this evidence reinforces your affirmations and makes them feel more true. And as they feel more true, they become more powerful. And as they become more powerful, they manifest more evidence. And it becomes a beautiful upward spiral of increasing abundance. I also want to talk about affirmations for specific amounts, because sometimes it is helpful to have a concrete target. And if you want to manifest a specific amount, like $10,000, you can create an affirmation around that number, and you might say, I easily and joyfully receive $10,000 or more, or $10,000 is flowing to me now from multiple sources. And when you affirm a specific number, it gives your subconscious something concrete to work toward. And you can visualize that amount in your bank account and feel how it would feel to have it. And your subconscious will start looking for ways to create that reality. However, I recommend always adding or more to your specific amount, because you do not want to limit yourself. And the universe might want to deliver 20,000. But if you are rigidly attached to exactly 10,000, you might block the larger amount. And so you stay open and receptive to receiving even more than you asked for. Now, let me address something controversial, which is the relationship between affirmations and religion or spirituality. Because some people believe that affirmations are incompatible with their faith, and they think that affirmations are about self-worship or trying to control God or the universe through positive thinking. But the truth is that affirmations are simply tools for aligning your mind with truth. And if you believe that God or the universe is abundant and wants you to prosper, then affirming abundance is actually aligning yourself with divine will. And it is not about ego or control, but about opening yourself to receive what is already available. Many spiritual traditions have practices that are essentially affirmations and prayers of gratitude. Declarations of faith, mantras are all forms of speaking truth into your consciousness. And there is nothing ungodly or unspiritual about that. And in fact, you could argue that living in poverty and lack when abundance is available is not honoring the gifts you have been given. So you can absolutely integrate affirmations with your spiritual beliefs, and you might affirm things like, I trust that the universe is providing for all my needs, or I am open to receiving the abundance that is my divine birthright, or I co-create prosperity with the infinite source of all supply. And when you frame affirmations in a way that honors your spiritual beliefs, they become even more powerful, because now they have spiritual backing, and you are not just using personal willpower, but aligning with something greater than yourself. Let me share a technique called affirmation, which is slightly different from affirmation, and was developed by Noah St. John. And instead of making statements, you ask empowering questions. And the reason this works is because your brain is wired to answer questions. And when you ask yourself, "Why am I so good at making money?" your brain immediately starts looking for answers. And even if you do not consciously know the answer, your subconscious starts generating reasons and evidence. And as it does this, it reinforces the assumption embedded in the question, which is that you are good at making money. And over time, this assumption becomes a belief, and that belief drives behavior. So you can use questions like, "Why does money come to me so easily?" Or "Why am I such a powerful money magnet?" Or "Why do I always have more than enough?" Or "How did I become so financially free?" And your brain will start answering these questions, and every answer reinforces your new abundant identity. This technique is particularly helpful for people who resist traditional affirmations because questions feel less like lying and more like curious exploration. And your mind is more receptive to exploration than to declarations that contradict current reality. Now let me talk about the physical tools that can support your affirmation practice. Because while affirmations are mental, the physical environment matters too. And one powerful tool is vision boards, where you create a visual representation of your desired reality. And you put images of the lifestyle you want, the amount of money you want, the experiences you want, and you place this vision board somewhere. You will see it every day. And every time you look at it, you speak your affirmations and you feel the emotions of already having those things, and this visual reinforcement strengthens your mental programming because you are engaging your visual cortex along with your auditory and emotional centers. Another physical tool is affirmation cards, where you write your favorite affirmations on small cards and you carry them with you. And throughout the day, whenever you have a spare moment, you pull out a card and read it. And this keeps your mind focused on abundance instead of defaulting to worry and stress. You can also use technology to support your practice, and you can record yourself speaking your affirmations and play them back while you sleep. And your subconscious mind continues to absorb information even while you are sleeping, and hearing your own voice affirm abundance while you sleep is incredibly powerful. Or you can set reminders on your phone that pop up throughout the day with your affirmations, and every time you see one, you pause, take a breath, and really feel it. And these little moments of intentional focus throughout the day keep you aligned with your desired reality. Some people also use mirrors, and they put sticky notes with affirmations on their bathroom mirror. So every time they look at themselves, they see the affirmation, and they say it while making eye contact with themselves. And there is something uniquely powerful about affirming directly to your own reflection. All of these physical tools serve to increase repetition and engagement, which are the two key factors in subconscious reprogramming, and the more ways you can engage with your affirmations, the faster they will take root. Now I want to share a powerful technique for dealing with negative thoughts that arise, because even as you practice affirmations, you will still have moments where negative thoughts pop up, and this is completely normal. And the key is not to fight those thoughts or feel guilty about having them, but to acknowledge them and then redirect. So when a negative thought, like "I will never have enough money," arises, you notice it without judgment, and you say thank you for sharing, and then you immediately counter it with your affirmation, like "Money flows to me easily and abundantly," and you do not try to suppress the negative thought, because suppression creates resistance, and what you resist persists. Instead, you acknowledge it, and then you consciously choose a different thought. And over time, the negative thoughts will lose their power and arise less frequently because you are no longer feeding them with attention and emotion, and your default thought patterns will shift from negative to positive. This is also where the practice of thought awareness becomes important, and you need to become conscious of what you are thinking, because most people are completely unconscious of their thoughts, and they just let their mind run on autopilot. And autopilot is usually programmed with negativity. So you practice catching yourself when you are thinking limiting thoughts about money, and the moment you catch yourself, you pivot and you replace that thought with an empowering affirmation. And at first, this will feel exhausting because you will be catching yourself constantly, but eventually your default thoughts will change. And this is the goal. And you want to reach a point where abundance thinking is automatic, where your first thought about money is positive rather than negative, where you naturally expect good things rather than bracing for disaster. And this is when you know your reprogramming is complete. Let me also address the role of action steps that align with your affirmations, because affirmations create the mental state. But you also need to take practical steps that demonstrate your new beliefs. And if you are affirming that you are wealthy, but you continue to make poor financial decisions, then there is a disconnect. So your actions need to align with your affirmations. And if you affirm that money flows easily to you, then you need to create channels for money to flow through. And this might mean starting a side business, or offering a service, or creating a product, or investing or learning new skills that increase your value. And if you affirm that you are wealthy, you need to start making decisions that a wealthy person would make. And this does not mean pretending to have money you do not have and going into debt, but it means things like investing in your education, or taking care of your health, or dressing well, or organizing your finances, or surrounding yourself with quality. Small actions that align with your affirmations send powerful signals to your subconscious that you are serious and that you are becoming the person you are affirming. And these actions create momentum, and momentum attracts opportunities. I also want to talk about celebrating small wins, because on your journey to financial abundance, there will be many small victories along the way, and it is crucial that you acknowledge and celebrate each one. And if you only celebrate when you reach your big goal, you will spend most of your time feeling like you are failing. But if you celebrate every small win, like getting your first client, or making your first sale online, or receiving an unexpected refund, or negotiating a raise, or finishing a course, or making a smart investment, then you are constantly reinforcing positive momentum. And celebration is not just about feeling good, although that is important, but it is also about training your subconscious to associate your efforts with positive outcomes. And when your subconscious sees that your actions lead to wins, it will motivate you to take more action, and success builds on success. This is also why gratitude is so important, and every night before sleep, you review your day and find things related to money that you are grateful for. And even if it was a tough financial day, you find something, and maybe you are grateful that you have a roof over your head, or food to eat, or that you are healthy enough to work. And this practice keeps you in an abundant vibration even when circumstances are challenging. Now let me share an advanced technique called the abundance bath, where you immerse yourself in the feeling of wealth for an extended period, and you set aside 30 minutes where you will not be disturbed, and you get comfortable, close your eyes, and you imagine in vivid detail your life as a wealthy person. You imagine waking up in your dream home, and you walk through each room and see the details, and you imagine checking your bank account and seeing the balance you desire, and you imagine spending money freely on things you love without worry, and you imagine the freedom to travel, and the ability to help others, and the security of knowing you are taken care of. And you do not just visualize this. You feel it with every cell in your body, and you feel the softness of the luxurious sheets, and you feel the warmth of the sun coming through your beautiful windows, and you feel the confidence that comes with financial security, and you feel the joy of being able to say yes to experiences without checking the price tag. And you stay in this immersive visualization for the full 30 minutes, allowing yourself to fully inhabit the reality of wealth. And what this does is create a powerful imprint in your subconscious mind that is so vivid and real that your brain begins to accept it as your actual reality. And when your brain accepts something as reality, it starts to align all your thoughts, behaviors, and perceptions to match that reality. This abundance bath technique is particularly powerful when combined with your affirmations, because you are not just saying words, but you are creating a full sensory experience that engages your entire nervous system, and the more real you can make it feel, the faster it manifests in your physical reality. Another advanced practice is what I call affirmation amplification, where you speak your affirmations while in a peak state of emotion. And you do this by, first, getting yourself into a highly positive emotional state through music or movement or breath work, or remembering a joyful experience, and once you are feeling really good, you speak your affirmations and they carry the amplified emotional charge. This is exponentially more powerful than speaking affirmations in a flat, neutral state, because emotion is the language of the subconscious, and the stronger the emotion, the deeper the programming goes. And this is why traumatic experiences create such lasting impressions, because they carry intense emotion, and you can use that same principle in reverse to create lasting impressions of abundance. I want to address something that stops many people, and that is the fear of being disappointed again. Because maybe you have tried positive thinking before, and it did not work, and maybe you got your hopes up about money, and then had them crushed. And now there is a part of you that is protecting itself from disappointment by refusing to hope or believe. And I understand that completely, but I want you to see that by protecting yourself from disappointment, you are also protecting yourself from possibility. And the fear of disappointment keeps you stuck in the same place because you are unwilling to try again. And the only way forward is to be willing to be vulnerable again, to hope again, to believe again, even if there is risk. But here is the difference this time, and you are not just hoping. Blindly, you are using proven, psychological, and neurological techniques to reprogram your subconscious mind, and you are combining belief with action, and you are staying committed even when you do not see immediate results. And this is not the same as wishful thinking. This is strategic mindset work. And yes, there might be setbacks along the way, but each setback teaches you something and refines your approach. And as long as you do not quit, you have not failed. And the only true failure is giving up and deciding that abundance is not possible for you, because that decision guarantees you will never experience it. So I invite you to be brave enough to try again, to open your heart to possibility, again to practice your affirmations with full commitment, even if part of you is scared. And that courage is what transforms lives, because the people who succeed are not the ones who never feel fear, but the ones who act despite the fear. Now let me talk about the relationship between giving and receiving, because this is a crucial aspect of money consciousness that many people miss, and most people are much more comfortable giving than receiving, and they feel guilty receiving compliments, receiving help, receiving money, receiving gifts, and this discomfort with receiving blocks the flow of abundance. If you cannot receive, you cannot have abundance, because abundance is by definition receiving. And so part of your affirmation practice needs to include affirming your ability and willingness to receive. And you might say, I am open to receiving abundance from all sources, or I graciously receive all the good that comes to me, or I am a powerful receiver. And then you practice receiving in small ways, and when someone compliments you, instead of deflecting or minimizing, you simply say, thank you, and receive it fully. And when someone offers to help you, instead of insisting you can do it yourself, you say yes, thank you, and receive the help. And when someone wants to pay for your coffee, you let them without feeling like you owe them. These small practices of receiving train your nervous system to be comfortable with the flow coming toward you. And as you become more comfortable receiving small things, you become able to receive larger things, including large sums of money. There is also a spiritual principle at play here, which is that giving and receiving are two sides of the same coin. And when you give freely, you create space to receive. And when you receive graciously, you honor the giver and the flow continues. And if you block either giving or receiving, you block the entire flow. So cultivate generosity, even before you feel like you have a lot to give, because generosity is a mindset, not an amount. And you can be generous with your time, your attention, your kindness, your knowledge. And as you give these things freely, you open channels for money to flow back to you. And this is not manipulative exchange, but universal principle. And when you do have money, practice giving some of it away, whether to charity or to help someone in need or to tip generously. And this tells your subconscious that you have more than enough, and that money flows through you, not to you, and whatever flows through you multiplies. Let me share something about the words you use in everyday conversation, because your casual words are affirmations too. And if you constantly say things like "I am broke," or "I cannot afford that," or "money is tight," or "I am struggling financially," then you are affirming lack all day long and undermining your intentional affirmation practice. So, you need to become aware of your casual language around money and change it. And instead of saying "I am broke," you say "I am between opportunities right now," or instead of "I cannot afford that," you say "that is not a priority for my budget right now," or instead of "money is tight," you say "I am managing my resources wisely." These might seem like small semantic changes, but your subconscious is listening to every word you say, and it believes what you tell it repeatedly. And if you tell it, "You are broke," it will keep you broke. But if you tell it, "You are resourceful and capable," it will help you find resources and solutions. This extends to how you talk about other people and money too, because if you constantly judge or criticize wealthy people saying they are greedy or corrupt or lucky, then you are creating a subconscious association between wealth and negativity. And your subconscious will not move you toward something it perceives as negative. So instead, practice speaking positively about wealth and wealthy people. And when you see someone with a beautiful car, say, "I am happy for their success." Or when you hear about someone making a lot of money, say, "That is inspiring, and that is possible for me too." And this removes the subconscious blocks and allows you to move toward wealth without internal conflict. I want to talk now about the power of identity-level affirmations, because there is a hierarchy of affirmations, and the most powerful ones address not what you have, but who you are. And instead of saying, "I have a lot of money," which addresses possession, you say, "I am wealthy," which addresses identity. And identity-level affirmations are more powerful because your sense of self determines everything else. And if you see yourself as a wealthy person, you will naturally think and act like a wealthy person, and you will naturally create wealth. And if you see yourself as a poor person, then no matter how much money comes to you, it will slip through your fingers because it does not match your identity. So craft affirmations that speak to who you are, and "I am a money magnet," or "I am financially free," or "I am abundant," or "I am prosperous," or "I am a wealth creator." And as you repeat these identity statements, you literally become that person. And when you become that person, having money is natural and inevitable. This is also why it is important to study wealthy people, not to compare yourself or feel envious, but to observe how they think and talk and make decisions. And as you observe, you can start to adopt those same patterns, and you can ask yourself, what would a wealthy person do in this situation? And then you do that thing. And over time, you stop asking the question because you have internalized the wealthy identity, and you automatically think and act from that place. And this is when your external reality has no choice but to reflect your internal identity. Let me address the topic of patience, because manifestation does not always happen instantly, and sometimes there is a lag between when you start affirming and when you see results, and this lag can be frustrating. And it is where most people give up, but the lag exists for a reason. Think of it like planting a seed, and when you plant a seed in the ground, you do not see anything happen for days or even weeks, but underground the seed is germinating, and roots are forming, and growth is happening invisibly. And if you dig up the seed every few days to check if it is growing, you will kill it. The same principle applies to affirmations, and when you start affirming abundance, there is an invisible process happening in your subconscious and in the quantum field. And neural pathways are forming, and old patterns are dissolving, and energetic shifts are occurring, and you cannot see any of this, but it is real. And if you give up during this invisible stage, you will never see the fruit of your work. But if you trust the process and stay consistent, eventually the sprout breaks through the soil and growth becomes visible and then accelerates. And this is when people say, your success happened overnight, when in reality it was building invisibly for months. So patience is not passive waiting, but active trust. And you continue doing the work, even when you do not see results yet, because you understand that the results are coming and you trust in the process. And this trust is itself a powerful affirmation that you are committed to your transformation. Another factor that affects manifestation speed is your energetic frequency, and everything in the universe is energy vibrating at different frequencies, and emotions have frequencies, and fear and lack vibrate at low frequencies, while love and abundance vibrate at high frequencies. And like attracts like, so if you are vibrating at the frequency of lack, you will attract more lack. But if you vibrate at the frequency of abundance, you attract abundance. And your affirmations help raise your frequency, but only if you feel them with positive emotion. And if you speak affirmations while feeling desperate or doubtful, you are actually sending mixed signals. So, part of your work is to consciously choose thoughts, feelings, and activities that raise your vibration. And this might include listening to uplifting music, or spending time in nature, or exercising, or laughing, or creating art, or being around positive people, or practicing gratitude. And when you are in a high vibrational state, your affirmations manifest faster. I want to share a technique for dealing with doubt, because doubt will arise, and when it does, you do not need to fight it or deny it, but you can acknowledge it and then question it. And when doubt says this is not working, you can respond with, how do I know that is true? And often you will realize that you do not actually know it is not working. You are just impatient. Or you can say, even if it seems like it is not working yet, I choose to continue because I have nothing to lose by staying positive and everything to lose by giving up. And this reframe takes the power away from doubt and allows you to continue your practice without being derailed by temporary uncertainty. You can also use what I call the doubt transmutation technique, where you take the energy of doubt and channel it into curiosity. And instead of doubting whether it will work, you become curious about how it will work. And you say, I wonder what surprising way money will show up for me today. And this shifts you from resistance to openness. Now let me talk about affirmations for specific financial goals like buying a house or paying off debt or starting a business or retiring early. And for each of these goals, you can create targeted affirmations that speak to that specific outcome. For example, if you want to buy a house, you might affirm, "I am now living in my perfect home," or "the perfect home is coming to me at the perfect time," or "I easily attract the resources to purchase my dream home." And as you affirm this, you visualize yourself in that home, and you feel what it feels like to live there. If you want to pay off debt, you might affirm, "I am debt-free," or "my debt is dissolving rapidly," or "money is flowing to me and allowing me to easily eliminate all debt." And you visualize making the final payment and feeling the relief and freedom of being debt-free. If you want to start a business, you might affirm, "I am a successful entrepreneur," or "my business is thriving and profitable," or "I attract ideal clients who pay me well," and you visualize your business operating smoothly and money flowing in consistently. The key with goal-specific affirmations is to combine them with general abundance affirmations, so you are not limiting yourself to only one avenue, and you want both the specific target and the openness to receive abundance in multiple forms. Let me address a common concern, which is whether affirmations can backfire or create negative outcomes. And the answer is that affirmations themselves are neutral tools, and they will not create something you do not actually want at a deep level. But if you have conflicting desires or hidden agendas, then you might manifest mixed results. For example, if you affirm wealth, but subconsciously you believe that being wealthy will make your friends jealous, or your family resentful, or that you will lose your humility, then your subconscious will protect you from wealth and you will sabotage yourself. This is why inner work is so important, and you need to examine your beliefs about wealth and make sure you have resolved any negative associations. And you need to affirm not just that you have money, but that having money is safe and positive, and that you remain a good person regardless of how much you have. Another thing people worry about is whether focusing on money makes you materialistic or superficial, and the answer is that money is simply a tool, and focusing on having enough of it so you can live comfortably and help others is not materialistic. It is practical, and you can be deeply spiritual and still desire financial abundance, because abundance allows you to be more generous and more free to follow your purpose. In fact, I would argue that deliberately staying poor when you have the ability to create wealth is not virtuous. It is self-sabotage, and the world needs people who are both spiritually awake and financially empowered, because those are the people who can make the biggest positive impact. So release any guilt or shame about wanting money, and affirm that it is good and right for you to be abundant, and that your abundance benefits not just you, but everyone around you. Now let me share a powerful practice called the Abundance Anchor, where you create a physical gesture that you associate with feeling abundant, and every time you practice your affirmations and feel that abundant emotion, you make the gesture, and it could be pressing your thumb and forefinger together, or placing your hand over your heart, or making a fist, or any gesture that feels meaningful to you. And you do this consistently so that the yui gesture becomes linked to the feeling, and then throughout your day, whenever you need to access that abundant feeling, you make the gesture and it triggers the emotion. And this is called anchoring, and it is a technique from neuro-linguistic programming. This is useful because there will be times when you are in a situation where you need to feel confident and abundant, like a job interview or a sales conversation or a negotiation, and you can discreetly make your anchor gesture and instantly shift your state. And this gives you an on-demand tool for accessing your most empowered self. Let me talk about the concept of money. Affirmation challenges, where you commit to practicing your affirmations consistently for a specific period, like 30 days or 90 days, and you track your practice and your results. And this structure creates accountability and momentum. During the challenge, you choose your top 5 affirmations, and you commit to saying them every morning and every night. And you also Commit to noticing and recording every way money shows up in your life during that period, and at the end of the challenge, you review your notes, and you will be amazed at how much evidence of abundance you accumulated. These challenges work because they create focus and consistency, which are the two essential ingredients for reprogramming, and they also create a sense of game or experiment, which makes the practice more fun and less heavy. You can do these challenges alone or with a group of friends. And if you do it with others, you can share your experiences and support each other. And this group energy amplifies the results because you are all holding the intention together. Now I want to address what to do when you reach your financial goal, because this is something people do not think about until it happens. And then they do not know how to handle it. And some people actually self-sabotage when they reach their goal because they do not have a new vision to work toward. So as you are practicing your affirmations, you should also be thinking about what comes after, and once you reach this financial goal, what is the next level, and this creates a continuous expansion rather than a boom-bust cycle. And you should also prepare yourself mentally and emotionally for having more money, because having money brings its own challenges, like managing it wisely and dealing with people who want some of it, and staying grounded and grateful. And these are good problems to have, but they are still things you need to navigate. So include affirmations about being a good steward of wealth, and affirmations about making wise decisions, and affirmations about maintaining healthy relationships, and affirmations about staying humble and generous. And this prepares you to handle abundance gracefully when it arrives. Let me share something about the compounding effect of affirmations, because just like money compounds, when invested, affirmations compound over time. And the first day you practice, you might feel a tiny shift, and the second day, another tiny shift. And these shifts seem insignificant. But over 30 days, those tiny shifts add up to a noticeable change, and over 90 days, they add up to a significant transformation. And over a year, they completely reshape your reality. And this is why consistency matters more than intensity. And it is better to practice for 5 minutes every single day than for an hour once a week. Because your subconscious learns through repetition. And every time you repeat an affirmation, you strengthen that neural pathway, and eventually that pathway becomes the default. And the thought that used to take effort becomes automatic. And once your abundant thinking is automatic, you do not need to consciously practice affirmations anymore, because you have become the affirmation and you are living, breathing, embodying abundance. And at that point, money flows to you naturally, because you are finally a vibrational match for it. This is the ultimate goal, and to reach the point where you do not need techniques because your entire being has been transformed, and you naturally think and feel and act from abundance. And when you reach this point, you will look back and barely recognize the person you used to be. Let me talk about using affirmations to heal your relationship with money. Because many people have a dysfunctional relationship with money, and they see it as the enemy, or as something scarce and difficult, or as something that corrupts, and this dysfunctional relationship guarantees financial struggle. So you need affirmations that specifically heal your relationship with money. And you might say, "Money is my friend," or "I have a healthy, loving relationship with money," or "Money flows to me easily because I respect and appreciate it," or "I am grateful for all the ways money supports my life." And as you repeat these, you are literally changing your emotional response to money. And instead of feeling stressed or anxious when you think about money, you start feeling calm and positive. And this emotional shift changes everything, because you make better decisions when you are calm, and you attract more when you are positive. You can also practice talking to money as if it were a person. And this might sound strange, but it works. And you can say, "Thank you, money, for flowing to me." Or, I appreciate you money, or I am ready to receive you money, or I promise to use you wisely. Money, and this creates a relationship of respect and appreciation, rather than fear and desperation. Another powerful practice is to forgive yourself for past financial mistakes, because many people carry guilt and shame about times they mishandled money or made poor decisions, and this guilt blocks future abundance, because you subconsciously feel like you do not deserve it after what you did. So you need to affirm, I forgive myself for all past financial mistakes, and I am learning and growing, and I now make wise choices with money. And this releases the energetic block and allows you to move forward without the weight of the past. You can also forgive others who you feel wronged you financially, and maybe someone owes you money, or someone cheated you, or someone took advantage of you. And holding on to that resentment keeps you tied to that person energetically and blocks your flow. So you affirm, I release all resentment around money, and I forgive those who have wronged me financially, and I am free. And this does not mean you condone what they did, but you are choosing to free yourself from the energetic burden of carrying that resentment. Now let me share an important truth about affirmations and reality. And your affirmations do not change reality. They change your perception of reality, and they change who you are, and then that changed person creates a different reality. This distinction is important because some people think affirmations are about denying reality or pretending things are different than they are. But that is not it at all, and you acknowledge your current reality fully, but you refuse to accept it as permanent. You say, yes, I currently have this amount of money, and I am working toward having more. Or yes, I currently have debt, and I am in the process of eliminating it. And this is honest and empowering, whereas saying I am rich when you are broke feels like a lie and creates that cognitive dissonance we talked about. So your affirmations bridge where you are to where you are going, and they acknowledge the journey while keeping you focused on the destination. And this approach works with your psychology instead of against it. Let me talk about affirmations and decision-making, because one of the ways affirmations work is by changing the decisions you make. And when you affirm abundance, you start making abundant decisions and you invest in yourself. You say yes to opportunities. You negotiate for better pay. You start that side project. You take calculated risks, and each of these decisions compounds and creates results. And so the affirmations lead to new beliefs, which lead to new decisions, which lead to new actions, which lead to new results. And this is the chain of causation, and it all starts with changing your thoughts. So pay attention to how your decision-making changes as you practice affirmations, and notice if you are becoming bolder or more confident or more willing to invest in your growth. And these behavioral changes are evidence that your affirmations are working even before you see money results. Another thing to watch for is synchronicities, which are meaningful coincidences that seem to be orchestrated by the universe. And as you practice affirmations, you will start noticing more synchronicities, like thinking of someone, and they call, or needing information, and it appears, or wanting to meet someone, and they show up. These synchronicities are signs that you are in alignment, and that the universe is responding to your new vibration. And when you notice them, acknowledge them with gratitude, because gratitude amplifies them. And the more you appreciate synchronicities, the more they happen. Now, let me address the question of whether you need to believe affirmations for them to work. And the answer is nuanced, and you do not need to fully believe them when you start, because if you already believed them, you would not need to affirm them, but you do need to be willing to believe them. There is a difference between I do not believe this and I am willing to consider that this might be true. And the first is closed and resistant, while the second is open and receptive. And openness is all you need to start, because belief builds over time through repetition and evidence. So if you are skeptical, that is okay. And you do not need to force yourself to believe. Just be willing to experiment and say, I am going to practice these affirmations for 30 days and see what happens. And approach it like a scientist running an experiment rather than someone who needs to have faith. And what will happen is that as you practice, you will start noticing small changes, and those changes will create evidence, and that evidence will build belief, and that belief will create more changes, and it becomes a self-reinforcing cycle. The key is to not let your initial skepticism stop you from trying, because you will never know if something works unless you actually do it consistently. And many people who are now firm believers in affirmations started out as complete skeptics, but they tried anyway, and the results convinced them. Let me share something about the words you use in your affirmations, because certain words are more powerful than others, and words that evoke emotion are more powerful than bland words, and words that are specific are more powerful than vague words. For example, instead of I have money, which is vague and unemotional, you might say money floods into my life, bringing freedom, joy, and security. And this creates a much stronger emotional response and engages your imagination more fully. Or instead of I am successful, you might say I am wildly successful beyond my expectations, and this amplifies the emotional charge and makes the affirmation more exciting. And excitement is fuel for manifestation. So experiment with your language and find the words that create the strongest positive emotional response in you, and those are the words that will program your subconscious most effectively. Also pay attention to verb tenses, and present tense is generally most powerful because it tells your subconscious this is happening now. But future tense, like I will be wealthy, keeps the result perpetually in the future and you never arrive. However, present progressive tense like I am becoming wealthy is also effective because it acknowledges movement and progress. And sometimes this feels more believable than claiming you already are something when you clearly are not yet. So you can mix tenses based on what feels most true and powerful for you. And the most important thing is that the affirmation creates a positive emotional response, because that emotion is what carries the message deep into your subconscious. Now, as we come toward the end of this journey together, I want to remind you that affirmations are not magic spells that work independent of you, but they are tools that work through you, and they require your participation, your consistency, your emotion, your belief, and your aligned action. And when you bring all of these elements together, when you practice your affirmations daily with feeling, when you clear your limiting beliefs, when you take inspired action, when you stay patient and trust the process, when you celebrate small wins and maintain high vibration, then you become unstoppable. And money begins to flow to you in ways that once seemed impossible, and opportunities appear that you never could have predicted, and doors open that you did not even know existed. And this is not because you got lucky, but because you transformed yourself at the deepest level. You changed your identity from someone who struggles with money to someone who attracts money. And when your identity changes, your entire reality must change to match it, because you cannot be a new person and live an old life, and the universe will rearrange itself to reflect who you have become. And this transformation is available to anyone who is willing to do the work. And it does not matter where you are starting from, or what your past has been, or what limiting beliefs you currently hold, because all of that can change. And the moment you decide to change it and commit to the process, it begins to shift. So I invite you right now to make that decision and decide that you are done struggling with money, and decide that you are ready to step into abundance, and decide that you will practice these affirmations consistently no matter what, and decide that you will not quit until you see results. And then start today with your first affirmation and speak it with conviction, and feel it with emotion, and believe it with your whole heart. And then, tomorrow, do it again. And the day after, and the day after, and watch as your life begins to transform in ways you never imagined possible. Subscribe to this channel right now, because every single week I am sharing powerful techniques and insights that will support your journey to financial abundance. And you will want every tool, every strategy, every piece of guidance that can help you manifest the wealth you deserve. And by subscribing, you are making a commitment to yourself that you are serious about transformation and that you are ready to receive all the abundance that is waiting for you. And I will be here every step of the way, guiding you, supporting you, celebrating your wins, and helping you overcome any obstacles. And together, we are creating a community of people who are breaking free from financial limitation and stepping into prosperity. And I cannot wait to hear your success story.